Hi everyone, Bobby Ogilvy, Project Manager and Professional Coach. So today's question is, how do I become a coach? Okay, so right off the bat, you should be really looking at ICF and getting your certification. Now, really, you don't need any certification. Anyone, today could just hang a shingle and say, "I'm a coach. I'm a coach in general. I'm a life coach. I'm a business coach." And there's no one really regulating, who can say what or what to call themselves, right? So, I mean, yes, there is that carte blanche, but really to become a good coach, what you really want to look at is a training program. And I say that for a few reasons. You're trying to ultimately get enough, you want enough of a training regimen that you're following. There is some way of approaching coaching, right? And I know one of the broad ways we approach it is that there's some basic kind of views or principles, right? There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot, mirror coaching this, visioning that, a few dozen others, right? And then there's some other more mastery advanced stuff. But all of these are part of one kind of body of knowledge of coaching, right? But then ultimately you're trying to collect enough experience, enough contact experience in coaching that you become quite good at it, right? And the great thing about the program I trained under is that it had a great variety of this. So, you have your one-on-one coaching clients, which you yourself are trying to find. You have your classroom, and I would call them lecture type hours, where you're going to be learning about a technique or something specific, right? But then there's brief triad coaching, where you're doing brief 12, 15-minute sessions, and that's great because it forces you to condense your coaching arc into something quite brief as opposed to a full 60-minute session, right? There's another type of format we do called a fishbowl, where you'll have one client, but you'll have a rotating bunch of coaches, and there'll be the right signal, and you might coach someone for 12, 15 minutes. Boom, the next person is on exactly where that last coach left off, next person. So it forces you to constantly be aware of where the client is at, what do they need next, and sometimes you're not even sure who the next coach is. So, talk about being flexible and dancing in the moment. Very good skill for a coach, right? People beyond saying won't respect you, but really you haven't truly done your mastery work if coaching for you is just applying a formula, right? It's just a right? So it forces you to do that. So, I mean, the point around all this is to say that the more experience you have overall and the more variety of experience, the better coach you're going to be. A good coaching program probably lasts around a year. There are some schools that do this. A lot of times they're framing it as like a graduate certificate because it's normally at that level. It normally wouldn't. Some may have full masters in it. Those might be a bit expensive. So I'm based out of New Brunswick, Canada. There's certainly none in this side of Canada, but Royal Roads out of Victoria, British Columbia, I know they have a graduate certificate in this, but there's lots of other good coaching programs as well. You can go on the ICF website and see which ones are certified. So this would be a good point to talk about ICF certification. There's 3 tiers: associate, professional, and master coach, right? And I think the associate one's just about 100 hours. I think professional is 750, masters like 2,500, right? So it's quite a lot. And really, when you're saying good coach, what you want to do is find someone that has those credentials, because that's a good rubric to say they have enough experience that they know what the hell they're doing. By contrast, I know, my, alarms go off when I hear someone say they're a life coach. In general, just someone who calls themselves that, because they tend to be people who are essentially delivering therapy and not even realizing it. So coaching is not therapy. I want to be very particular and clear about that, and this also relates to your own professional standards. The other thing about someone who just calls themselves a life coach is they probably haven't gone through the training extensively enough to know, one, that, they're not using good techniques. 2, if they're using something broad life coach, to me it implies that they don't know what pain points they solve and what their own strengths are. And so they might like something about coaching, they might like the idea, in broadly speaking, of helping people, but the notion of like, okay, so are you coaching entrepreneurs? Are you trying to make leaders better? Are you coaching couples? There's a billion formats to it, right? So the more you can hone in and say, what are my strengths, what am I good at, the more that's also going to play that. And ultimately that becomes even a requirement as you're looking at the master level, right? Because coaching in some sense plays to your strengths and should be organic to you. And so beyond the initial pure coaching of learning the techniques, there becomes this element of like, what do I bring to it? What am I uniquely strong at that I can bring into my coaching? And effective coaches are able to do that and do it very efficient and seamlessly and masterfully. So how do I become a coach? Find a good training program. It's probably going to last about a year, and you're probably going to spend a few $1,000s doing it. It might be a graduate, certification. It might just be some other training regimen you're going through. Mine is based out of Toronto. It's the Core Coaching Institute. How else do you become a coach? You make sure you get your ICF certification. So you're logging hours. You're writing your ACC exam, and you're looking at those ethical competencies. And then ultimately, you're trying to hone and develop an aspect of mastery which is related to your strengths. That's the sorts of people and problems that you deal with, and your unique ability and expertise to help those people. That's what's going to make you be a good coach. So again, I'm Bobby Ogilvie, Project Manager and Professional Coach, and I look forward to answering more of your questions.